Okay, Ma'am Alice, I will end now the poll question. Sharing now, ma'am. Result.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Jovi. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Good
Yes, ma'am.
afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes
May
po,
okay
ma'am.
niya?
Yes po.
You have no audio? Could be on issues on your side. Good afternoon and welcome to this session, a special session where we will be discussing the changes in the IG2 risk assessment. You look great, Bo. Thank you, Harold. Okay. Okay. Do we all have a copy of the new risk assessment form?
Wala pa po, ma'am. Wala pa.
Not
yet.
Why? Why not yet? Jovi, we've sent it right to
Yes,
everyone.
we send it, ma'am. The new joining instruction to them. So maybe they are not familiar with the email.
Can we check your Jovi? Can you please send it once again in the chat, please, for those who did
Yes,
not check their email and did not prepare for this meeting?
Ma'am, na-receive naman po, pero yung distinction ng between the old 2018 saka ng 2020 yung risk assessment po, yung di ba before color yellow, I heard Miss Con give me an idea, it's color green right now. Tapos yung GIC2, yun lang po.
Yeah, that's the one you see on the screen. It's color green now. So you will know if it's the old or the new one by just looking at the color. So everyone, what you see on the screen, that's a new form. So let's make sure we all have a copy before we discuss. Okay? So if you do not have a copy yet, you're sending it for the chat, kindly download. Okay, Miss Jovi will send it in a while for the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Wala pa. We are still sending. On the way. It's on the way. Na traffic na po.
It's Friday, so traffic.
Google Drive. Can everyone access that? Okay, we've sent in the link. It will lead you to a Google Drive. You will also see the guideline document and other documents that you need to know. So please, for now, download the Word file or download everything. We will be talking about the risk assessment template today. That is a Word file. Thank you, Jovi. Okay, give me a thumbs up for those who are still downloading. Once you get a copy, let me know once you have a copy, then we'll start. Okay, okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, great. Not yet received. Downloaded. Salvador, the file has been sent for the chat. Can we check and then download? All right, so this session is about the risk assessment, the new form. We will go through the sections one by one. If you have any questions, type your questions in the chat. You can also unmute. For those who'd like to unmute, let's try to combine the questions. Let's say we will complete section one, then I will give you time to ask questions related to that section, then move on to another section. Okay, so let's just keep it organized. We'll download it later. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so you may already have heard that NEBOSH released a new specification for the IGC, NEBOSH IGC. This is the 2025 specification, but they also call it 2026 because they started implementation January 6. What are the changes? There are some changes, but the main change is on the risk assessment form. So today, like I said, we'll go through the form section by section. This will be, you'll start using this from March. So unfortunately, for those of you who already started your risk assessment, you'll have to switch to this new one. Don't worry, there are still information you can use from your previous risk assessment form. So the risk assessment, it's still the same. You need first to complete your review, element 1 to 11, before you complete the risk assessment, because there are knowledge from unit 1 that you'll have to use in this risk assessment, the legal, moral, and financial argument. So completing that review before you start your risk assessment, or before you finalize your risk assessment. Okay. You will be required to complete a risk assessment of your workplace. Still the same. If you don't have any workplace, it can be your previous work. For those who just resign or maybe ended their contract recently, you can still use our previous work. If you are a student or newly grad, you can use a school. Actually, any establishment will be acceptable. Okay, same, no change. The time to complete the assessment is not restricted. They just suggest you spend 4 hours on this assessment, but that's just a suggestion. You can spend as many hours that you want completing this risk assessment. You will be given a deadline of submission. So this is not like Unit 1, IG1, or GIC1. By the way, the name have changed under the new specification. IG2 is now called GIC2. So this is just to make a distinction between the previous syllabus and the new one. So for the new one, the certificate is still NEBOSH IGC certificate, but for the unit 1 is GIC1, unit 2 is GIC2. Okay. So for the risk assessment submission, still the same. You register for the exam, you'll be given a deadline of submission. There is no restriction when it comes to the time. People are always asking, when do I start my risk assessment? You can do it today. You can do it anytime you want, but you will be given a deadline of submission. Then you need to submit. It's up to you. When are you going to start? They don't give you a specific date on when to start the risk assessment, but they give you a deadline of submission. Okay, so for the guidance, in the Google Drive a while ago, we sent you several documents. One of them is these are documents applicable for Unit 1 and 2. But for Unit 2, GIC2, you will need the learner submission template. That's the risk assessment form, Word file. And then there is a guidance document. In fact, everything that we're going to discuss today is taken from that document, the guidance document. So you have access to it. You have a copy. Actually, you really need a copy because the list of hazard categories taken from this guidance. So you need to refer to it from time to time. As you can see, there is no sample provided. For the previous specification, they provided a risk assessment sample, right? But now they removed that, so we don't have any completed risk assessment anymore. Perhaps the reason for that is they found out that learners end up copying from that sample, so better not to provide any. So no sample. Okay. So the form looks like this. Is just a screenshot. So again, if you're confused, just refer by the color. If it's green, that's a new one. The previous one was orange. So recommended word count, there's still recommended word count for every sections. Like for example, this section 1, you have the 150 to 250 words. These are recommendations. You can exceed, no worries. These are guide only, not absolute minimum or maximum. There is no impact if you exceed that, so don't worry about the word count. As you can see, there are also numbers between brackets for some sections. These are the marks allocated for every section. That is one of the main change. So the risk assessment is now what you call a point-based assessment. It's not the pass and refer anymore. So as I said, you have marks for each section included. Those are the numbers between brackets. So you can actually assess your own work, how many marks based on your assessment. The marks, just like IG1, these are very helpful because it tells you how many answers do we need for each section. Which section has the highest mark so that you spend more time or effort on that. So it's included in the form itself. The marks between brackets. Pass mark is 60%. So total available mark for the entire assessment is 100. If we compute all the marks, it's 100. You need to get at least 60 to pass this one. There's only refer or pass. Unlike Unit 1, you have pass with credit, distinction, or just pass. For GIC2, it's either pass or refer. You will get a pass if your score is 60% and above, and lower than 60%, that's refer. Just like before, your assessment will be marked by a NEBOSH appointed examiner. They are trained, so don't worry. And then regarding the tutor guidance, same as before, tutor, I can give you some advice. You see, I can give you some advice on whether you are heading in the right direction. However, do not submit drafts of your work to your tutor as they are not allowed to remark or comment on specific details. So that is clear. It's not from me, it's from NEBOSH in the guidance document. So please do not send me your risk assessment for me to check. Do not send me sections of your risk assessment for me to check. That would be malpractice, but you can always ask questions. I can answer questions. No sample, ma'am. How can you proceed? We follow the instruction and then we just do it. The absence of the sample is not a big deal, Gary. You can do it without a sample. And if you read the guidance document, they give some samples for each sections, but not an entirely completed risk assessment, just some sections. So don't worry, you can do it. Okay, so what else we need to know? Completed electronically. Before, you had the option, you can do it handwritten. Although we recommended for everyone to do it type. It's more difficult if you do it handwritten, but now no more option. It has to be electronically submitted. Okay, you have the template, so you must use that one. It's a Word file, you can edit it. In the first, you have to double click on the footer and insert learner name on the first sheet. So how do we do that? Let's go to the form. Oops, what's going on? Give me a second. Okay, so here, if you look at the footer, you have learner name. If you double click on this one, then you can type learner number and learner name. So I can put my number, I can put my name. Anyway, you have to edit it a little bit. Don't just put it in the middle, just like what I'm doing right now. But just to show that it will be carried over in the next page. So you only need to write it one time. The page number is automatically inserted. You don't have to type that. Okay. Can we start doing draft of this risk assessment? Yes, Mario, you can start working on your risk assessment already. Okay, so what else? General information. Well, the page numbering changes automatically. We covered that. Use a font that is easy to read, not ready. What's going on? Easy to read. Okay, they don't recommend any specific one, but please make sure that it's easier to read for the assessor. It's very difficult to read long paragraph, and the font is quite small. So, okay. So, any questions so far before we go through the sections of the risk assessment? Any questions? All right. So there are 4 stages or sections in the risk assessment. Just like before, 4 stages, they just changed the name a little bit. For example, the first one is background. Before it was description of the organization and methodology to be used, but content is the same. Now, number 2, risk assessment, that's a risk assessment table. Hazard prioritization, there are some changes in section 3, and then communicate, check, review is the same. Okay. Let's take this one by one. So starting with the background. Okay, IGC 1 and 2 were all the same schedule for the exam date. Yes, same schedule. That is what you call the declaration date. Declaration date is when are you registered for the exam? What is the date of the exam? But it could change. It could change in the future, but for now, just read, communicate with our training coordinator. They will tell you about the submission date. Okay, for the risk assessment. Once you register, they will tell you when to submit your risk assessment. Mom, it's like we have to think or create like our own company. No, Jesus, you don't have to create your own company. You need to use an existing company. And that could be your current work or previous work. No need to create. Don't create. That's going to be very difficult. So use your previous work or current work. It's easier. How can I get risk assessment, Alan? I don't know if you mean the risk assessment form. If that's the case, it's in the chat box sent a while ago. Okay, so background. Same, you'll have to provide the description of the organization and then the risk assessment methodology used. So no change. So if you've started your risk assessment already, you can still transfer some of the information in this part 1. It is worth 10 marks in total out of the 100. So how does it look like? It's here. So you still have the name of the organization and site location. There are no marks for this, but they must be completed for, they call it completeness of the assessment. So please make sure you complete, although there is no mark assigned. Brief description of the organization is the same, and then number of workers and typical roles. So as you can notice, there are some changes here, and description of the area to be covered by the assessment. Okay, let's just go through the sections one by one. So the background, 1.1, name of the organization can be anonymous. You can change the name, you can anonymize this, change it if you are worried about confidentiality issues, ABC, XYZ, or any other name. Although even if you put the real name, this won't have any impact on your organization. The site location, we do not need a complete address, just a country will do. When we risk assessment, we refer to control measure applied. No, we'll get to that. Yes, ma'am, form. I don't see any form. Joey, could you please resend the form or the link? Alan just joined probably and could not see the link. Okay, site location, country, Philippines will do. No need to put the block lot number. If you want to make it Manila, Philippines, that's fine. But you don't need the detail for the site location. Okay, brief description of the organization, 1.3. There is 1 mark available for this section. And what do you need to consider? It's the same. Same as before, you consider the work activity, the product manufactured or services provided, and then the general shift pattern. That's the brief description of the organization. So far, not so much change. An example of brief description of the organization, I've taken this from the guidance document. So I'll give you some time to read through this. This is section 1.3 under brief description of the organization. Before it was general description. Now they changed it to brief description of the organization. So read through it. For fresh grad, you can use school. You can use your school. Medellin. Okay, so brief description would be to discuss the company provides ground inspection reports for construction sites before work commences. The management team, administrator, and cleaners are based in the main office building. Office opening hours are Monday to Friday from 8 to 4. 25 site inspectors are home-based and travel around the region to provide site inspection. So you see, we have the three main information that is required here. So what is the service they provide? Ground inspection report. Now, shift pattern. So there's working from 8 to 4, Monday to Friday. And then what activities are they doing? They travel around the region and do site inspection. So that would be sufficient. Okay, number.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Marjon.
Regarding this new GIC2, the previous one is general. Now, and the new one is only the freight.
Yes.
So we can instead we need to input all necessary information about the company. So in this new forms, we need only to input the small or brief description only.
Discuss the general summary of work activity carried out, discuss product manufactured or services provided, and discuss general shift pattern. Here's an example. Okay, Harold, if you want to see that example again, it's in the guidance document. Ay, not Harold. That was, Salvatore. All right? Okay, so here. So make sure you discuss. This could be in any sequence, by the way. So talk, services provided, or if you're manufacturing something, then discuss what is the product, and discuss summary of work activity and general shift pattern. Okay. Sorry, Harold. Okay, next. Now, number of workers and typical roles. In the previous form, we just indicate the total number of workers. So another change is you need to put a detail. General overview, list of worker and their job. You do not need to list everyone, just a general role. So it could be something like there are 45 workers, and the 45 workers are composed of management team, 8, 25 site inspectors, 11 administrators, and 1 cleaner, something like that. Okay, so you're not required to list every role, but you can do it as a general overview. So this is something new. Oops, sorry. Okay, next, that's section 1.4. Under section 1.5, you need to describe the area to be included in the risk assessment. Just like before, in the previous form, you describe general description of the organization, and then under that, you need to describe the area to be covered by the risk assessment. So same thing here. Okay, description of the area or process to be included in the risk assessment. Now you have your company. Maybe it's an offshore platform. Now you need to decide which part will be covered by the risk assessment. Or maybe it's a school for freshly graduate. So school is quite a large area. Now you need to decide which part will be covered by your risk assessment. Let's say only the canteen. So you say this risk assessment will cover the canteen. However, you need to describe the canteen a little bit. You cannot just say it will cover the canteen. So description should be detailed, not brief. So what are we going to talk about when we describe the canteen? Give you an example. There will be two examples. One is too short description and one is a much detailed description, which will allow you to get the 2 marks allocated here. So here's an example of brief description. 1 mark out of 2. So the assessment will cover the main office building, which has 2 floors. The organization carries out administrative tasks within the building. A much better description of the same area will be something like this. I'll give you some time to read through it. So first, we indicate the location. You can decide. Main office building, where is it located? So you describe where is it located. And then you can discuss the area or the layout. So you have offices area, kitchen, large meeting room. And then you can discuss the activity. So see location and then the site layout divided into kitchen, large meeting room, etc., etc. Then we talk about the main task. What task are they doing? So if it's the canteen, so describe that the canteen is located where? In the middle of the school or behind the main building. The canteen is divided in a small kitchen and a large room where you have table and chairs. And then we discuss what are the main tasks that we can see in the canteen. That's it. Yes, you can also include neighboring area if this is relevant to the assessment. Yes, you can do so. Okay, so you know the difference now is in the marks also. So you need to make sure that you provide sufficient information so that you maximize the chance of having higher marks. Okay, next. Source of information consulted. So going back to the description again, just think about this. The assessor is appointed by NEBOSH. The assessor doesn't know you. The assessor doesn't know your organization. The assessor doesn't have any idea on what's going on. So that's the point of the background description of the organization, so that they will be able to assess if your risk assessment is really suitable and sufficient. They need to have some information about the area. What is the organization about? What are the activity? The area covered by the risk assessment, is it a large one? Is it a small one? What's going on in that area? So that's your point, for the assessor to be familiar a little bit with what they're going to assess so that they can assess the remaining part of the risk assessment, the hazard and control. Okay, so next, after that, do we need to state here also how many workers are in that particular area? You can do so if you want. Yeah, although we talked about number of workers already in first part, you can talk about that here, saying if it's a canteen, how many workers are in the canteen. It's fine. Okay. Now, sources of information consulted. So same as before, so you're required to discuss what are the sources of information. There are 3 marks available for this section. Sources of information could be something you consulted before doing the risk assessment or during the risk assessment. Just to note. So before could be in preparation for the risk assessment, you wanted to understand what are the activity in the area, or maybe you wanted to check some documents first, or during the risk assessment, you suddenly realize, oh, I need to check other document. That's also fine. So it's before and during. Now, sources of information can be a document or can be people. So they just combine it here, the sources of information. So it can be document, such as policies or procedure, internal document, or even external document can be added here. External document could be a standard, a law, guidance document, etc., etc. Then internal document, policy, procedure, incident record, whichever you think will help you to complete the risk assessment. Then people can also be source of information. So you need to discuss who are the people you talk to. Maybe you say, I went to site and talked to the supervisor. This is the same as the information required in the previous form. So there are 3 marks available for this section. So you need to make sure you cover 3 pieces of information. Now, how you identify the hazard, this is the last part. So they need you to describe what method did you use to identify the hazard. So going back to IG1 element 3, when we talk about risk assessment, first step is to identify the hazard. What are the different methods for identifying hazard? You can do inspections, you can do interview of workers, you can do observation, you can check document, check safety data sheet, etc., etc. So you need to identify at least 3 methods in order to get the 3 marks available in this section. For every part, put a sentence. Don't just say how you identify the hazard. 3 bullets: inspection, interview, observation. No marks. Try to elaborate. Inspection. What did you do? Interview. Who did you talk to, etc. Okay. So question from Sadi. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Regarding this source of information. So, like for example, if I can put the link of the source of the information, it is acceptable or?
Yeah, it's also okay, but make sure you also have a title of a document. What is a specific document? Yeah, the name of the document.
Like for example, the link. To
the
click,
link, I think I'll put the link as an addition. But what's important is the title of the document, the name of the document. Then you can add the link if you want.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. So for example, if you give a link to ILO website, there are so many documents under ILO website. So you need to specify what is the title of the document. Okay. So link, use that as an addition. Most important, try to write the name or title of the document. Okay, next. Are we, wait. Question from, how about the link? Okay, we answered that. Required to be attached? No, you don't need to attach anything in this assessment. Just complete the form, submit. No picture, no attachment required. It could be also those who did the previous contract. Yeah, could be a source of information. Yeah. Okay. Now, how identify the hazard? That's 3 marks. And there you have it. The first section, background. Quite that complicated. Just follow the form, provide required information, and that's it. Any other question regarding the background? Is it possible to use company existing policy? Yes, Osborne, you can use company policy. I suggest you consider internal and external documents because yes, you have company policy, you have procedures, but maybe there are some standard or some guidance document or some laws that you need to check. Okay, any other question for this first section? None? All right, moving on. Okay, part 2 is the risk assessment. You need to complete the risk assessment. This section is worth 65 marks. So now you know where you should spend all your effort and time. No change for this one. You still have the risk assessment table. The sections are the same. They just added the marks. And hazard, it's hazard description now, but it doesn't really change anything much. So this section is still the same. So what do you need to do? So you need to identify 10 different hazards covering at least 5 different categories. So you need to make sure you have at least 5 different hazard categories. You can identify multiple hazards from the same hazard category. So what do we mean by hazard category? So this is a risk assessment. You cannot give 10 hazards all related to the same category. For example, fire. You cannot give 10 hazards all about fire or 10 hazards all about slips and trips. To demonstrate understanding, you need to cover different types of hazard or category of hazard. So NEBOSH says at least 5 different categories. The total of hazard is 10, but these 10 hazards should be distributed among at least 5 different hazard categories. So I can identify multiple hazards from the same hazard category. For example, under fire, I will have 2 different hazards. Slips and trips, I will have 3 different hazards. Under chemical, maybe just only 1. And so on, until you complete the 10 different hazards. Okay. What do you mean by hazard category? What are the different types of hazard category? Now in this one, you must use the categories provided by NEBOSH. You cannot use the categories that we have in some other training. For example, if you go through the Bosch and Koch training, they have their own hazard category. But in this one, since this is NEBOSH assessment, they are telling you, they are giving you the list of hazard category, and then you must use categories taken out of that list. So where is the list? This one. Same as before. They just removed the element number. So now we have a total of 21 hazard categories. We have element 5 to 11 for unit GIC2. Element number is still the same, but the total number of categories is 21. For example, hazard category number 1, noise, vibration, radiation, mental ill health, violence at work, and substance abuse. So 1 to 6 is under element 5 of GIC2. So that's under element 5. So the next one, work-related upper limb disorder, manual handling, load, and handling equipment are under element 2, musculoskeletal health. Number 10 is under hazardous substance element. That's element 5, 6, 7. And then element 8, we have general workplace issues. So covered under that are welfare and work environment. So they removed the term health, by the way. So it's welfare and work environment. Working at height, confined space, lone working, slips and trips, movement of people and vehicle in the workplace, and work-related driving. So 11 to 17 are all under element 8 of unit 2, workplace, general workplace issues. The next, number 18 and 19, handheld tools and machinery are under the element discussing work equipment. That's element 9. So element 10 is fire, element 11 is electricity. So the change from this list compared to the previous one is first the term health was removed from number 11, category number 11. So it's now welfare and work environment. They removed the term health, welfare, and work environment because I think the health was causing a lot of confusion. So now it's welfare and work environment. And then work equipment and machinery is now divided into handheld tools and machinery. That's it. The rest is the same. So we need to identify at least 5 categories from this list. If it's not on this list, you cannot use it. Okay, next. So if you want to see that list again, so this is taken out of the guidance document. So refer to the guidance document.
Wait, ma'am.
Now, yes, go ahead.
Regarding the lifting, I did not see in the category list.
Lifting, anyone? Where do we put hazards related to
Load
lifting?
handling equipment.
Load handling equipment, number 9. Correct?
In machinery?
No,
Load handling equipment.
load handling equipment.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, moving on. Yeah, so hazard description 2.2, section 2.2. There are 10 marks available for this one because you need to identify at least 10 hazards. It's at least you can exceed a little bit if you want. make it 12 or 13, but you still get 10 marks. Even if all the 13 hazards are acceptable, the maximum is still 10. But it's also good to provide more than the required, just in case. But on the other hand, because there is a mark assigned, it's not like before the pass or refer system. It's very easy to fail if you just make one mistake. In this one, it's more on if you have sufficient points. So I really think the pointing system, the marks is very good compared to the previous system we had. There will be more chance of passing in this one. So identify at least 10 hazards. Provide a brief description of the hazard. So now it's hazard description, not just hazard. But I think it should be the same because hazard must be clear. If you, for example, just say window cleaning. Window cleaning is an activity. It doesn't tell us what is the hazard we are talking about. Because in window cleaning, it's an activity. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of hazard. Are you talking about the work at height part? Are you talking about the use of chemical when we clean the window? What is this about? So if your hazard is window cleaning, 0, no mark. Why? Because it's not clear. So what would be a more suitable description? So you could say, facility manager seen climbing a ladder in order to clean the window. And you'll get 1 mark because we see what is the source of harm? Hazard is defined as anything that has a potential to cause harm. So this must be clearly described. You don't have to provide the paragraph. Just even a short sentence statement would be fine. But don't just mention the activity, mention clearly what is the source of harm. Ask yourself, does it have any potential to cause harm? Is that really a hazard or just an activity? If it's an activity, we won't know what is the hazard we are talking about. Okay. Same thing. If you say using a portable drill, what's the hazard in that? There's so many. So which one? Are you focusing on the vibration, the electricity, the noise? So be specific. Think about it as your hazard, and hazard description should always be connected. So if you say noise, and then under that, you would describe exposure to loud noise from the use of portable drill. That's it. Okay. So describe. Is it possible to use company policy? Yes. Fall, use hazardous material, carpal syndrome. Harold, what are we giving? What is that? When you say fall, what are we talking about? I don't understand, Harold.
Sinabinggit nyo sa Windows cleaning. So, ang hazard is fall.
No. Harold, fall is not a hazard. Fall is the result of something. Fall is the result of something. Do you understand? Fall is the result. The hazard is what's causing the fall. All right? So Harold, in this one, we can say the use of a ladder can cause fall. So therefore, the use of the ladder can be considered as the hazard. So fall, on the other hand, is correct, but it's not a hazard. It will belong to the next stage, which is how can people be harmed, right? Okay, so are we clear, Harold? That's very important.
Yes,
to understand hazard. Okay, very good. Okay, same thing with carpal syndrome. It's a result of something that's not the hazard. That's a result of exposure to the hazard. Okay, so where were we? Do we need, I went to have a coffee, at least 10 different hazards. How about more than 10? That's also fine. There is no deduction for writing more than 10. But again, even if you provide 20, you still get 10. You don't get 20 marks. You get only 10 marks. Okay. So just like before, you can exceed, but not too much. The reason is it's going to be very long. You're going to be very tired, and maybe other sections will suffer. Okay, so activity, wait, someone mentioned, so do we need to mention the activity? Well, if it fits under what you call the hazard description, you can mention that. But activity alone, some activities, window cleaning is an activity, so we don't know what is the hazard. That's not sufficient.
Pwedeng window cleaning at the edge of the basta may word na edge, siguro ganun. Or working at the edge
At
of
the
the
edge
window.
of?
Working at the edge of the window. Sa dulo ba? Ikot naman sa taas eh.
Yeah, you need to clearly specify what is the source of harm. And then, yeah, so cleaning at the edge of a window, which is located at height, yeah, can be a source of, as long as you mention the source of harm, included in the description, Mario, yes.
Pwede pala, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Just make sure your statement doesn't make the assessor ask, what about window cleaning? What? So what? Okay.
The edge is
Yes,
you
working
can
at
figure
high
out
elevated
yes.
platform.
You can figure out how the hazard exists dun sa tao.
Yes.
It's unsafe already, ma'am.
Cleaning of window without an adequate fall protection.
Yes, you can do that.
Yeah, possible po. Yes.
Okay, so if your hazard is not clear, you'll not get the mark for that one. So make sure it's clearly described. In case of, if you have any doubt, it's always better to write more than less. So yeah, provide more details. If you're thinking, should I include the activity or not? Yeah, just keep it there. As long as the source of harm is clearly described, it's okay even if you write more.
Ma'am, pwede rin po yung using without using appropriate when cleansing a window, ma'am, ganun.
Without using appropriate what?
Appropriate, ma'am, kasi chemical dapat rubberized as much as possible. And you use only na ordinary gloves lang po.
Using gloves, okay. Now, Harold, if that is the hazard, what would be the hazard category?
Okay. Skin irritation or inhalation, ma'am? Inhalation.
Go to this list. What is the hazard
Okay.
category?
At least nakikita ko na yun.
So in that one, we'll talk about hazardous substance because it's a chemical. If you are focusing on the
substance used at work, ma'am, yun.
No, substance abuse. Substance abuse can be alcohol or drugs. Hazardous substance could be a chemical. So if you are focusing, this is why I say window cleaning is an activity. There's a lot of hazard under window cleaning. So if you are focusing on the chemical side because they are using detergent, then that's hazardous substance. In this case, if you are talking about the latter, the category would be work at height. Okay, moving on. Okay, let's focus on the changes. There will be another session for us to discuss the details. I think let's go for the form, the main changes, so that you can start working on your risk assessment. And then there will be future review session where you can discuss the details or the content further. Okay, so we won't be going through the list today. I mean, the category. We will do that in another time. Yeah. So who might be harmed and how? Same as before, identify individuals or group who could be affected by or come into contact with the hazard. So how? So they just divided the who and the how into 2.3 and 2.4, but it's same as before. So under who, we identify the individual or the group which can be affected. Under how, we discuss what will happen to them. So state the physical injury or ill health effect that the individuals or group at risk would be experiencing. So what does that look like? Example, so same hazard, facility manager seen climbing a ladder in order to clean the window. So who might be harmed and how? Facility manager falling from height, causing bruises and fracture. So you see, there are three information here, just like what we discussed before. So we discussed the who, facility manager, what will happen to him. So there's a risk of falling, which could lead to bruising and fracture. That's it. Another example would be, oops, I am a cooperate. Yeah. Another example would be workers and visitors. So they will be affected. How? They will be struck by falling object. And then what will happen to them? They will suffer from injuries. That's it. Always three information, the who and the how is what will happen to them. We can say the risk. So there's a hazard, risk of falling, risk of being struck. That is under the how, and then the consequence. Could be an injury, could be an illness, depending on the hazard. They just divided it into who and how, but it's exactly the same as what we had in the previous form. Can we add def as result? Yes, you may. Okay, so you can add, which could lead to fatality. You can do that. So who and how, not so much change. You can just do the same thing as what we did before.
So just to clarify, we combine them into one section, right? Since the who might be harmed and how they could be harmed into one column.
Yeah, you can still write it in one section. The assessor will check if you mention the who and then if you answer the how. Even if you put it in one paragraph or one sentence, it's fine.
Okay. Just to avoid in only one word, right?
Okay, next. Raise everything. Clear throat. Now, number 2.5. What are you already doing to control the risk, and what further actions do you need to take control of the risk? Sorry for to need to take to control the risk. Sorry about that. Okay. So in this one, same as before. So before you have the existing control, they call it what are you already doing, and then additional control. What further control is needed? So you identify existing control and then you suggest additional control if you think the existing control is not enough. So outline existing control, describe further control required, consider the hierarchy of control, just like what we did before. Sequence is not required. You can start with PPE or end with PPE. It's fine as long as you cover the different stages of the hierarchy, if it's applicable. And also, this is one of the change. So if you think that the hazard is already adequately controlled, consider controls which will be used to monitor and review the existing control. Let me explain. Before, if we say that we have so many existing control anymore, there is no need for additional control. Under additional control, we just put no further control required, not applicable, not applicable. In this new one, they are telling us, instead of saying not applicable, you should think about how am I going to monitor or review this existing control so they will be still effective in reducing the risk. So it's more on monitoring and review control. So I hope that's clear. So you don't do the not applicable anymore. If you do that, you lose the point. So what you do instead is, how am I going to monitor this existing control? Will I do some inspection or what? Regular inspection of control or what are the things? How am I going to monitor them? Okay, Joseph.
Alice, just one question for me. The 20 points or 20 marks, they are all applicable for the 5 hazards identified?
It's not 5 hazards, Joseph. It's 5 hazard category, but 10 hazards.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you will get 10 marks. Okay, it's in the form. See if I can see the form again.
21, ma'am, no?
20. So how does it look like? 10 and 10. 10 for existing control and 10 for additional control.
Agree.
That's 20. Because every hazard will have a control. Okay, clear? So they don't give you 1 point per control. It's 1 point per you. The entire control for that particular hazard. The entire existing control for the particular hazard will get you 1 mark. The entire control for the additional control for that particular hazard will get you another mark. And since we have 10 hazards, so total of 10. 10
So
for
like
further.
for item number 1, that is 2 points.
Yes.
And of course the rest times 2, it's 20. Understand? Thank you.
All right, the example of hazards. Okay, same hazard. Control could be something like this. So for the facility manager, climbing a ladder in order to clean the window. So what are you already doing to control the risk? So you have 2 controls here, but it's worth 1 mark. Total is 1 mark. So communication sent to workers when cleaning is taking place, warning signage used at the base of the ladder. Is that enough to control the risk? No. So therefore, further controls we will add employ specialist contractor to undertake work using extendable cleaning equipment to avoid working at height. So see, we consider the hierarchy of control here. And then arrange for work to be completed outside normal office opening hours, because under who and how we consider the visitors and workers are people who can be harmed. So let's do the work outside normal working hours. So for the entire XCC control, you get 1 mark, entire additional control, another mark. Yes, you may leave. Session is recorded. Get the record from our coordinator. Health surveillance is part of monitoring. Yeah, it depends. Okay, thank you for joining. Get the recording. All right, so this is an example of control for the hazard that we already talked about.
Excuse me.
Okay, next. Okay, go ahead, Roder.
Yeah. So what if in the control measure, I will input only, for example, provision of warning signage. Is it acceptable?
Which one? Which control?
For example, in your screen, meron ditong warning signage used at the
But
base of the ladder.
which?
What if I input in the control measures, provision of warning signage?
That's fine.
That's fine. Okay.
That's clear. I understand that, so that's fine. Because I used at the base of the ladder or just one inside, I don't think that will make a difference. So I think the point is read, and if you have any doubt, always ask yourself, can the assessor know what I mean if I just say warning signage or provide warning signage? I think they will, so that's fine.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Refresher training, yes, any control is acceptable. So these two controls always go together. So let's say you have warning sign is your only control, existing control, then maybe you need more further control because the existing control is only one. So it's like if there's so many existing control already, maybe for further control you only need few. So that aspect of the risk assessment, we covered that in the previous forum, it's still the same here. So you will be given a mark based on the entirety of your control. In the additional control, they will read and say, is this enough to reduce the risk considering the existing control? If yes, then they will give you 1 point. If not, then you will not be given the point.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Sony.
For example, ma'am, if this you input for what are you doing? So I put here a warning sign to use at the base of the ladders. So this one, ma'am, on the further action, we cannot use this signage again, ma'am, make for the another controls.
No need because you already have a sign.
Yes. So
yeah, you already have a signage. So
you have already assigned, so you cannot use this control measure on the further action. So
you
they
you
are
should
not
not.
used.
Yeah.
So
Try to
that
be
is a
redundant. Yeah.
redundancy.
Yes.
So
So
once you put,
further. Go
so
ahead.
once you put in you are doing control, so you are not again to provide to your further actions.
The point
So
is, if the control is already in place, then maybe we don't need that control. We don't need to implement that control again because it's already implemented. We need to think
yes,
about
ma'am.
something else. Okay.
So already provided now in that
Yes.
existing controls.
Yes.
So
And
this is not acceptable now for further actions.
yes, it should be a common practice, even if you're at work, before you suggest any corrective actions. Could be from an inspection, audit, or risk assessment. So before you suggest any new corrective action, you always need to check what is existing. Let's say you're going to write a procedure only to find out that there's already a procedure that was written. So instead of writing the procedure, maybe we focus on the implementation. Paul Christian.
Good morning po.
Morning.
Just to clarify lang po, you cannot use same existing controls in the same hazard category.
It depends. Training. Can I use training for fire? Yes. Can I use training for chemical? Yes. So that it doesn't look the same, provide specific fire safety training, chemical
Just
handling
more
training.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next we have who needs to carry out the action. This is the responsible person part. So in this one, you identify individual or group of individuals. So in the guide, before in the previous risk assessment, we talked about should it be one person or could be more than one? Well, in the guidance, they clarified it can be individual or group of individuals who will be responsible for the actions. So for every action, there must be a responsible person and there must be a time scale. We'll cover the time scale later on. There is no mark for this section, but you still need to complete it. So for let's say, for example, the employee specialty contractor, we need to assign that to someone. Then action number 2, arrange for work to be completed outside normal office opening hours. We need to assign that to someone as well. So don't combine everything, like 5 different actions, assign everything to one person, safety officer only. Just think about if there are 5 actions, there must be 5 bullet under who needs to carry out the action, and then another 5 answers under when the action should be completed. So don't combine everything in one paragraph. Okay, so that's the responsible person, same as before. Then you have the time frame. When is the action needed to be completed? So another change, before we said it could be 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 6 months, etc. In the new specification, you can only choose from the following. Under time scale or time frame, you can say immediate, you can say medium, you can say long term. That's it. It's either immediate, medium term, or long term. For actions that can be completed within hours or few days, you will put immediate. For actions that can be completed within few weeks to few months, that's medium term. And actions that will take several months or years to complete, that would be long term. So that's good. It's easier because before there's so many questions on what is a realistic time scale. And now it's easier because you need to decide if it's immediate, medium term, and long term. So you can only choose from these 3. Okay?
So, excuse me, Madam Alice. So, as the previous meeting before, ma'am, as I said before, if you are going to stop the activity, imminent danger, so I put immediate like that. So if we are going again for the health surveillance for 6 months, I put for long terms.
Yes.
Because every medical is going to 6 months or 1 year. So I put long term.
Yeah. So you just need to decide. Will it take few weeks to few months? Then medium term. Will it take hours to few days? That's immediate. That's it. It's easier. Because the reason I think why they changed it in a point-based system, it's very hard to assess which one is correct if you put the previous 1 day, 2 days, 3 months, 6 months. It's hard to define if the time scale is really suitable. Actually, we cannot check because there's so many factors that we need to consider. But in this one, it's just immediate, mid-term, long-term. If it's hours to few days, immediate, few weeks to few months, medium, and then several months to years, long-term. Easier for the assessor to give you the mark. Easier on your side also.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
So in other words, ma'am, we use the word immediate or medium or long-term lang.
Yes, yes.
So no need towards too many
No
words
need.
we'll use. Okay, thank you.
Yes, no need. You can only use immediate, medium, long-term. How do you decide? Here, they're giving you the guidance. If it's an action that takes hours to few days, put immediate, etc., etc. Okay?
Ma'am Alice,
Yes, sir.
this immediate, medium term, and long term can be used applicable for this risk assessment, which we have to assess on this coming February. This term can be applicable or not yet.
Wait. New risk assessment. Huh? When are you taking the exam? For February, you still need to use the old form. This is for the new risk assessment form starting March exam.
But the word immediate can be.
We discussed about that Armenia last time, right? The only time we can use immediate is for action that can be immediately completed. But don't consider this for the previous form. This is only for the new form. So Armenia, we still need to follow the old format.
Noted, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So this is good. Good news for the time frame. It's easier now. Okay, just be careful in identifying the time frame. For example, well, if it's an action such as maybe put in a signage, install signage. What do you think would be the time frame for that? Installing a warning sign.
Immediate.
Immediate, ma'am.
Immediate. Yeah, immediate, right? If you put long term, then we will be wondering, is it a billboard? What sign are you talking
Jersey,
about?
ma'am.
So just be realistic. However, if you say
Concrete the Jersey.
we're going to construct a chemical storage area separate from the building, what would be the time frame for that?
Medium.
Months or maybe
6 weeks.
medium.
Few months. Take
We are going
few
to
months.
build a chemical storage area separate from the main building. It's like a structure, building a structure. I think that would be long term.
Long term. Long term.
Yes. Yeah, especially if it's Philippine contractor.
Yes.
Okay, Paul.
Ma'am, for medium term and long term, for these few months, only 1 month this one, or
Few months. 1 month and is still
1
under
month
few.
only?
Medium term.
No specific,
No
just 1 month
specific.
below.
Yes.
Because maybe some.
No.
Thank you,
Few months. Okay, next. Okay, so here's an example of completed section in part 2. Take a look at this. These are the example we've already covered. So under time scale, so for the contractor, that's immediate. Avoid working at height, employ specialist contractor, so assigned to the facility manager. Time scale is immediate. Arrange for work to be completed outside normal office opening hours. That's also immediate because that can take few days to complete. Review long term. Okay, so that's it for part 2.
I mean this control arrest control, ma'am. So it means you need to create a sentence not only by words.
Because sometimes when you put only word, it's not clear what do you mean. For example, if you put PPE, so I would ask, what is the action? Do we provide PPE or do we purchase PPE? What are we going to do? So put an action. Okay, next.
Regarding that in the PPE,
Yes.
should we break down, or, for example, provision of suitable PPEs? Is it acceptable?
Make sure you can mention the specific PPE because PPE could be also so different depending on the hazard, right? So for work at height, so we have specific PPE. If it's chemical, maybe talk about respiratory protective equipment or gloves. Specific PPE.
Okay. Thank you.
Because again, PPE can be used in all hazard. There's always PPE, so that it doesn't look the same. We can provide specific details.
So the word appropriate, ma'am, dapat naka-indicate the word appropriate.
Appropriate for what? Appropriate PPE?
Yeah, para kasi mamaya di na para suitable for that kind of
Instead of the word appropriate, I would put the detail. Provide
siguro,
PPE. We can put
specialized PPE. Yeah.
No, I would put the PPE itself. We can put between bracket gloves or what PPE are we talking about? For example, if the hazard is noise, right? So under PPE, we cannot just say provide PPE.
It's yung
If the
muff
hazard is noise, we need to
noise.
provide, what is
Okay.
the specific PPE? Okay. So don't
Air
just
muff,
say
ma'am.
provide the
Specialized.
appropriate PPE for noise. Mention what is the appropriate PPE for noise. Because when you say provide the appropriate PPE for noise, it's like you don't know. This is NEBOSH IGC, so provide specific details. Okay. All right, next. So clear? Moving on to the next one. Okay, so this is the form again, so nothing changed, same as before. Okay, next, hazard prioritization. So here we have one of the big change in the new form. So in the previous form, this is select 3 actions and then prioritize. In this one, instead of selecting 3 actions, you select 1 hazard. So not selecting action, selecting hazard. And then you need to justify your selection. In this section, you can get a maximum of 17 marks. Okay, so big difference. So selecting only 1 hazard, not 1 action. Okay, so here we have the form. It is divided in 7 sections. Some of them are familiar. So first you need to write what is the hazard to be prioritized. Same as before, this hazard must be taken from part 2. You cannot invent a new hazard. So it's just a copy paste of the hazard that you mentioned in part 2. Specifically, here, hazard description. So whatever you wrote under hazard description, select one and then copy paste, write it here under 3.1, hazard to be prioritized. And then you have the reasons for justification, same as before, legal, moral, financial. They've added one more, general reason. And then after that, part of the justification is also to discuss a little bit about the actions for that specific hazard. So let's take these sections one by one. So prioritize a hazard to manage. So you have minimum of 10 hazards. Select one. Which one? Select the one that you think has the highest priority. It could be subjective, but I don't think you'll be penalized for your choice unless you have something related to confined space, but then the hazard you selected is slips and trips. Maybe I would ask, like, why? So select the highest priority. Do not introduce new hazard. Don't talk about confined space if it was not identified as a hazard in part 2. Like I said, go back to part 2, specifically section 2.2, read the entire column, select one, and then copy paste it, put it under 3.1. That's it. Now, justify your selection. How do we do that? There's legal, moral, and financial argument. Discussed in element 1 of IGC 1. Under legal reason, same as before, you need to refer to laws. And for IGC, specifically, this is an international certificate, so therefore you must use international law. ILO, international laws and standards. So ILO could be convention, recommendation, or codes of practice, guidance document, as long as it's ILO related. International standard can also be okay. ISO, but I don't think you
Sasabihin ba
find...
ang specific specific ILO standard ang ginamit? Kunyari, sabihin mo,
of course.
recommendation 16.
Yes, 16 from which 16 from which
employer yata
document?
yun, ma'am, employer, 19 ang employee responsible for that. You have to protect, give specification, which recommendation, recommendation 164, either 19 or 16. Yun po.
Correct. So you must write all of that. So you need to find, for example, your hazard is work at height. So we need to find something in the law related to work at height. Should be relevant to the hazard. Okay. So a little bit of research is required in this section. You have, for example, a convention for construction. And under construction, there are many activities. There's lifting, there's scaffolding. You can refer to that if you're if the area to be assessed is related to construction. There's an ILO for that. There's an ILO for mining. There's ILO for chemical and many others. So you need to do some research. Sadi.
My question is regarding this legal reason for prioritizing the hazards. So, like for example, ma'am, only ILO, the International Labor Organization,
Yes.
is
Only
what?
international law.
Okay, this is
So
changes.
you can't use
I cannot.
OSHA.
I
You
cannot.
can't
I cannot
use.
use OSHA.
You cannot use
So only,
OSHA.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can't use DOLE standard.
NEBOSH nga pala to. UK standard.
Yeah.
It has to be
Because
international.
because before other legal requirements can, like for example, any standard, as long as that is standard before, right?
Before where?
The old one.
No. Still the same, Sadi.
Okay.
Still the same. We say that there's sources of information. You can mention any document that you want, OSHA, etc. That is part 1. But in part 3, any legal argument must be based on ILO.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
so we need to do some research. So should be relevant to the hazard. As you can see, there are 2 marks available. So therefore, you need to provide 2 legal reasons. ILO, yes. Okay, next, moral reasons. So moral, we talked about this before many times in risk assessment. Moral is about considering the impact on workers or others who can be affected. Can discuss moral duties toward workers. So for example, in the work at height example, one of the moral argument, if you're going to select that hazard, the facility manager using a ladder cleaning window, moral argument would be injury caused by fall from height would have an impact on the facility manager, their family, and friend. That's 1 point. So you need 2 different arguments under moral to get the 2 points. Leo. Oh, someone's raising their hand? A question?
So, question about the legal argument. This legal, we can, we are allowed to copy and paste the legal argument, ma'am, from the ILO.
Yes, you can. For
Copy and paste.
example,
Okay.
yeah, so you don't have to copy the entire section, the entire paragraph, but only the one applicable. You can copy that, no problem.
So, copy and paste, no problem. Okay.
No problem.
Yes.
If you want to rephrase, that's also fine, as long as you mention again what is the source according to C155, R164, etc. Then you can copy paste.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so that's moral. Moral is on the impact on workers and others. What will happen to them if we don't implement the action? Okay, business or financial reason for prioritizing this hazard. So they call it business, but before it was only financial. So it's business or financial reason. It's about costs of accident discussed in element 1. So consider the direct and indirect cost. So there are 2 marks, then you need to give some example of direct or indirect cost. If there's any accident, it could lead to review the cost. And here we have another example, which says the cost of employing a specialist contractor is small compared to the potentially high cost to the organization if a fall from height were to occur. That's a financial argument. Additional financial argument could be just discussing if there's a fall, then the company will have to pay for the medical treatment or the hospitalization of the facility manager. That would be worth 1 point. Okay, next. Now, general reasons. So this is another one. So far we had legal, moral, financial. Nothing new. We had this before. The only difference is in the previous form, there's the general legal, general moral, financial argument. But here, since you only select 1 hazard, before there are three actions to be selected. So you have 3 different specific legal arguments. Here it's only 1 hazard to be prioritized. So aside from the legal, moral, financial argument. They also have what they call the general reasons for prioritizing this hazard. What is this? General reason is just any other reason which doesn't fall under legal, financial, or moral. Then it will fall under general reason. It could be something related to the effectiveness of the control. It could be something related to the likelihood and severity. And it could be something related to the additional control. So any reasons other than legal, moral, or financial, you can put it under general reason. There are 4 marks available in this section, so you need to provide at least 4 different reasons to get those 4 marks. What does it look like? Example of general reason. Same hazard, facility manager seen climbing a ladder in order to clean the window. So this is the hazard we are prioritizing. What are the general reasons? Reminder first, these are the controls that we mentioned. So general reason will look like this. Each one of these will be worth 1 mark. So you could say it is important that this hazard is prioritized, as currently the controls are inadequate to effectively manage the risk. Another one, existing control measures focus on awareness and not on risk reduction. The likelihood of harm is high due to the facility manager working at height, and the severity of harm as a result of falling from height could also be high. Using a contractor to clean the window would be easy to arrange, as it is a common practice across the organizations. These are examples of general reason. So if you're familiar with the previous form, this is more about the consideration of likelihood and severity part. So general reason why you should prioritize the hazard. You can talk about current control, the likelihood, the severity, the additional controls, and any other reason you can think of. If it's not under moral, legal, financial, then you can put it under general reason. Next, 3.6. How would the further action help reduce the associated risks? So far, we talked about the hazard. We prioritized the hazard, and then we provided the reason why that hazard should be prioritized. Now, in this section, now we can talk about the actions that we will implement to reduce this hazard. So the actions, the further actions, because actions are divided into existing and additional. So we focus on the additional control for that particular hazard that we've selected. So we will discuss how these actions will be effective in reducing the risk or harm, and how this action will be effective in suitably controlling or eliminating the risk. So the actions that you'll discuss, of course, must be taken from section 2.2. So do not invent new actions. For example, under working at height, we had 2 different further actions. One is to hire a contractor, and then the second one is to change the timing of the work. So those are the further actions. So now in this section, I need to discuss how these 2 actions will be effective in reducing the harm and in controlling the risk. I cannot talk about something else. I cannot say we need to install a scaffold. I cannot mention that. Why? Because it's not in part 2. I can only refer to the actions I've already identified under further actions for that particular hazard. So actions discussed must be taken from section 2.5. So an example of answer, still again, the same hazard. So specialist contractor will be more experienced and competent to carry out the work safely, which will reduce the likelihood of a fall from height. accident occurring. So you see, like I said, in the example, one of the further actions that we identified was the hiring of a contractor. So now in this example, I am discussing how hiring a contractor will help reducing the risk. Now, number 7, 3.7, how would you check that the actions that you've mentioned for that hazard have been effective? So how will you check that the actions carried out have been effective? So these are brief statements about how will you check that the action have been effective in reducing or eliminating the risk following their implementation. So for the contractor, you can say, undertake appropriate contractor management to ensure the external contractor are abiding by the agreed method and working safely. This is something new. Before we just identify the control, and then maybe we will talk about the impact under part 3 of the previous form. There is a section for intended impact. Talk about the impact, but there was no follow-up. We did not follow up if that action is really implemented and effective. So this is something they've added here, because part of risk assessment is really not just to identify the control, but making sure they are implemented and they are effective. If they're not effective, then we need to review again. So since we've identified hiring a specialist contractor to do the work at height, now in this section we need to explain how we're going to check that this action will be carried out and is effective. So if it's a contractor, one of the actions we could do to make sure it's properly carried out is to have appropriate contractor management. Okay, so you need to go back to the further control and then think about how am I going to check that these actions are carried out and effective. Am I going to do some inspection again, or what? Will I have regular meeting with contractor, etc.?
Ma'am,
Yes.
pwede ko ba dito makonsider yung contractor's criteria?
Yeah, sure.
Yung number of years of experience nila, is it suitable for this to check? Para pang ganun, ma'am. Meron siyang tawag ito, adequate equipment can be used this particular hazard. Ganun po. Yung mga subject criteria to check the actions taken will take more do sa hazard.
Yeah. So of course the number 3.7 would first depending on what is the action that we want to follow up. It's like a follow-up system to make sure that the action is carried out and effective. Yeah, you can do that. So for example, if you
because of that past experience, they are appropriate for this kind of to check the actions to be taken and po.
Simple. For example, your action is provide gloves for the welders. That is the action. Now you need to think, how are we going to check that this action has been carried out and are effective? How do we do that? Well, sometimes as a health and safety professional, we provide suggestions or actions, but then we also need to follow up, making sure that the action is really effective. So how do we do that? Paul, you're raising your hand?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, this 350 to 450 words is applicable for this total section 3?
It's a suggestion. You can exceed, it's not the absolute minimum or maximum. You can exceed that or provide lower than that. Does not impact the marking. It's just a suggestion.
Okay, so
and that is for the entire part 3. But
part
I
section
would say
3. Okay.
Focus more on the marks rather than the word count. Because 2
Maybe
marks, yeah. So we need 2 legal reasons, 2 moral reasons, minimum to get the 2 marks, etc.
Okay, thank you.
Can we use data or HSC statistic report? Yes, Mario. So you review the data. Yeah, So for example, there's a reduce, you will review the accident statistic related to hand injury in order to check if the control you suggested, such as providing gloves, is effective. Yeah, you can do that. You can
Excuse
do
me,
some
ma'am.
inspection. Yes.
To get
Marco.
this 4 points, example for general reason prioritizing this hazard. So we can input by bullets or by one sentence only.
Bullet. What do you
By
mean
bullets.
by there should be 4 reasons because it's general reason, 4 marks. Therefore, I need to provide 4 reasons, 4 general reasons. Okay? So 4 general reasons. Don't combine everything in one paragraph. Try to separate so that the assessor will see how many. Every reason,
Okay.
man, it's not just one word. It's like a sentence or a statement.
Okay.
So don't combine all the reasons in one paragraph. Try to separate. Easier to check. Okay, questions? Okay, asking. Because I previously sent IG1 mock exam, I've been graded a month ago. Should I retake the mock exam because of the new syllabus? No, IG1, not so much change. The changes are only on Unit 2, IG2. So no worry about the mock exam. No change on that side. Okay. No need to retake. Okay. All right, last part. So last section is the communicate, the check, and review part. Still the same. Worth 8 marks in total. You need to communicate the risk assessment, identify date of review, and explain why did you select that date. The changes are more on the sequence because in the previous form, we start by identifying when we do review the risk assessment and then explaining why you selected that date. So there was only 3 sections in the previous form because 4.3 and 4.4 were combined. And now they've divided these 2. And then communication. Before we talked about who needs to know, who do you need to tell? How are you going to communicate the risk assessment and who needs to know? Now it's how would the significant findings of the risk assessment be communicated with your organization? And then the last part, how would you check that the actions of the risk assessment have been carried out? The follow-up part. So no change on this one. Like I said, it's just a sequence. So how would the significant findings of the risk assessment be communicated within your organization? So provide at least 2 different communication means and identify who needs to know. So just like before.
Notice board.
Yeah. So for the worker, I will post the main findings on the notice board, or I will discuss the significant findings during the toolbox meeting. So who needs to know? So for the supervisor, I will send a copy through email, or I will discuss it during a meeting, etc. So communication means discussing IG1 element 3. How do you communicate information in safety? There's verbal, there's written. So check which one would be suitable, or which one do you use in your organization. So that's 4.1. So in this one, so you need to provide at least 2 different means of communication. That's 2 points. And when you identify who needs to know, that's an additional mark, so total of 3. Okay, how would you check that the actions of the risk assessment have been carried out? So 2 marks, so 1 mark per follow-up method. This is the same as before, the follow-up, the last section of the previous form. So the follow-up here is for the entire risk assessment. You have all those further actions and you have time frame. Now, how are you going to check that they've been assessed or they've been carried out? In part 3, we only focus on that specific hazard. Now we're going to look at all the actions for all the hazard, and we need to think about follow-up method. So you need to identify at least 2 different methods to get 2 marks. So example, include the risk assessment in the fortnightly manager meeting, actions log to maintain visibility at management level and to ensure actions are closed out. Then next, when would you review the risk assessment? There's one mark allocated for this one. This is the review section. So you need to select the review date. It can be a time frame or calendar date. So when you say time frame, it could be the review will be after 6 months. Or it can put a date. Next review will be, what is 6 months after now? November 6, for example. That's not 6 months, that's 10 months. It can be time frame, it can be calendar date. When you select the date, consider the time scale in the risk assessment part, because if most of your actions are to be completed on the long term means it will take months or even up to years to complete that action. So it wouldn't really make sense if the review date is after 1 month, because the action will still be completed after a year. So if you do the review after 1 month, nothing has changed. So it's not really realistic. So try to look at the time scale or the time frame of your actions in the risk assessment table before you decide on the review date. And most common review date still every year. Many organizations just do the review every 12 months. So finally, why that review date or period has been selected. So this is like before. The reason could be company policy, or it could be any other reason. Why did you say we will review it after 6 months? Why 6 months? Why not 4 months? Why 12 months? Why not 2
Pwede sabihin
years?
na it could be affect other other
Yeah.
department like that. That's why you have to place this certain time you have given.
Yes. It could be maybe just because that's the standard, or maybe that's a company policy, or it could be any other reason. You need 2 reasons for this one.
Because this other will be affect eh. Kasi they will affect their operations. Another department. That's why you have to pay this particular or specific date. Otherwise, it could be ma-affecto yung ibang departamento. Operations
So,
sa yung pababangan niyan. Yeah, that's why I give a time frame.
just remember, we are talking about the review of the risk assessment, review of the document. Okay, so let's say we will review the risk assessment after 1 year. Now you need to explain why 1 year. Where does it come from? Because that is a company policy, or because of what? That is the standard recommended in the standard, or what? Why 12 months? Introduction of new machinery and equipment. You also consider the resources. Yeah, you can consider the resources. If there's any change, okay, correct. Say we will review it more frequently because we have, we could have regular introduction of new machinery and equipment. Yeah, it can work. In construction, for example, there's always changes. So you need to review more often. 2 marks meaning 2 reasons. Yes. So just remember, so reason here is you say, we will review the risk assessment after 6 months. So explain why. Why 6 months? Where is that coming from? How did you decide on that? Okay. Yeah, so that's the section 4. Very short. It's only 8 marks. The first section is 10 marks. This is only 8. A follow-up question, can we use health and safety executive aside from ILO? Which part, JO? You can use it as sources of information under part 1. You cannot use it as a legal argument, because legal argument must be only ILO. You can mention that, but you won't get the mark, JO, because the guidance says for IGC, international certificate, you can only use international law, so that we will all have the same source. If you are taking NGC, National General Certificate, that's in the UK, and you must use UK law. The rest of the world, International General Certificate, so we use ILO. Because if we are going to use all our local laws, it's different from every country. To make it easier for the assessment, let's use the same source, ILO. Okay. All right, so that's section 4I. Here is a summary of the main difference between the two. IG2 for the previous specification, GIC2 for the new one, which will be applicable starting March for Trainnovate learners. So part 1 in IG2, we mentioned the number of workers only. GIC2, not G1C2, GIC2. I need to correct that. GIC2. Okay. Then share screen again, share screen. Okay, number of workers in GIC2, it's number of workers and typical roles, position. 2 managers, 5 supervisors, etc. Just like what you see in the scenario for IG1. In scenario for IG1, there's always the first few paragraphs is that it's a background. In the background, there's a section for the number of workers. We kind of have to do the same thing. Okay. Next, description of the area to be assessed. In the previous form, you can just say this risk assessment will cover the garage. But under the new form, you need to provide a detailed description of the area to be assessed. So this risk assessment will cover the garage, which is located, etc., and where we have activities such as, etc. Okay. Now, in part 2, the time scale can be days, weeks, months. That was before, but now we use time frame. Can only choose between immediate, medium, and long term. Medium term and long term. For the existing control, now if you think that all existing controls are enough, before we suggested you put no further control required and time scale not applicable, responsible person not applicable. The new form, they say, if you think that the existing control are already enough, you need to think about how to review or how to monitor. So the actions is more on monitoring actions. So you cannot put the no further actions required. You cannot put the not applicable anymore. If you do so, you lose the mark. Now for part 3, before we have the general moral, legal, financial argument for all actions, that section has been removed. So you don't have that. And then before you select 3 actions from part 2 and then justify, now we select 1 hazard from part 2 and then justify. Before the justification is about specific legal argument, consider the likelihood and severity, and then how effective the action will be. Under that, we discuss the impact of the action, justification of time scale, and then whether it will fully control the risk or not. That was before. Now, for the justification, you still have the legal, moral, financial, but they also added the general reason. And we need to discuss how further actions will reduce the risk and how to check the implementation and effectiveness of those further actions. Now for part 4, only the sequence has changed. The content is still the same. In part 1, it's okay if we don't give accurate data such as number of workers. Yes, estimate only. And you don't have to list everyone. Just the main position. Okay. Especially if you have a very large organization, you have so many, different, the position available, the job description, there's so many, you don't have to list everyone, just the main. Estimate is fine. Okay, so those are the main changes. So overall, shorter, I think, compared to before, especially in part 3, but there is also more specific information required. One of the main change again they mention is we are not just suggesting control, we also need to think about ways to make sure that the control is implemented and it's effective. Okay, so lastly, as a summary again, reminder, so this assessment is marked by NEBOSH examiner, external. They do not know you, they do not know your organization, or maybe they've heard the name, but they've never been to your organization. So you need to provide sufficient information in the background for them to be able to assess if your risk assessment is suitable and sufficient. The result of this assessment is 60 working days from GIC1 extended before you have 50 working days before the result is issued, but now it's 60 working days. It will be issued same as the Unit 1 result. Passing mark is 60%. If you don't reach that passing mark, you will get a refer result. What you need to do next is to review your risk assessment, register for the exam, and then resubmit. You don't have to make a new one. You can just improve the existing risk assessment. They will provide you a marks per item summary as part of your result. This is something they already implemented for GIC1. So when you receive your result, you also receive a breakdown of the marks, like task 1, how many marks, task 2, etc., etc. So you'll have the same thing for your risk assessment. After you receive the result, they will also give you the breakdown. It will help you to identify which area should be improved in case you have a refer result. Yeah, so that's it for my slides. We've covered the new risk assessment form. Please send the form again. Okay, let's see. Send ng form.
Ma'am, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I was scheduled by March. When do we receive the format or the forms?
Or are you registered for the risk assessment already? I mean, if you are registered for the training, we automatically send to you all the form that you need. And before this Zoom session, we send all the form to everyone, the new form. So
after this one?
No, already sent.
On the email?
Yes. You have not received anything yet?
I didn't receive yet, yes.
Why is that? Let me check with our coordinator.
Ma'am, which form you're talking about, sir? For registration for the exam? NEBOSH, yun po ba?
Or the risk assessment form?
Itsura ng new assessment. Assessment po. Yung
I
bago po.
wrote already, yes. Assessment orientation. Orientation only. Link. Updates.
Pamalis, let me check first about Sir Mike.
I did not receive only the link. Thank you.
Okay. We are checking that. Also, Jovi, if you can please resend the form in the chat again.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Jodel under 1.4. Do we need to input all workers in the organization? Yes, workers in the organization. Not just the one in the area to be assessed. We say just focus on the main position. Don't have to provide a very long list for that one. Can you have a copy of the organization? No, session is recorded. It's better if you can get the recording. If you're looking for the sample or the example that we talked about, you have the guidance document. We gave it to you. You can refer to the guidance document. So read the guidance document, review it again, and then session will be recorded. You can get a recording from our coordinator. Alan?
Yes, good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, po.
My schedule is will be on April for examination.
Mhm.
How many days for submission of this risk assessment form? How many days before I take the exam? 60 days.
Okay,
How
just
many
just a
days? Sorry?
moment. Just a moment, please. Okay, Jovi, for the deadline of submission, is this the same as before?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, the deadline. They have the schedule, ma'am.
Deadline is it still 5 days after the exam?
Ma'am, the IG2
Yes.
submission. Ma'am,
Yes.
yeah. Once they are registered, ma'am, they will be receiving the instruction for how they upload their IG to ma'am. Kasi before, ma'am, we are the one who uploading the IG2 in the system. But for the new risk assessment, ma'am, they will the learner will be upload their risk assessment in the NEBOSH system, ma'am.
I think they have 10 working days, right?
10
days or 10 working days.
10 working days before the
That, because I'm not sure about that. Let's say 10 days.
okay. So you have to send us the
After
email.
you have the detailed instruction on how to submit in your email. Before I say something that is not accurate, better to check that email. Okay? You will
Okay,
receive one.
we will
Yes,
coordinate
please.
the in the coordinator. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so
Okay.
always refer to your email because sometimes maybe information that I'm sharing now might not be applicable to April, March, or April exam or exam after that. Okay, so please refer to your email. Anyone else has got any question? Paul, go ahead.
How
Mm-hmm.
how about the IGC one, ma'am?
Uh-huh. What about it?
Yeah.
The
How
changes?
how to be in the exam IGC one exam March 4.
What is your question, Paul? How
Uh,
can you
are
make it
we
more
gonna wait
specific?
for the instruction for IGC one, or you already sent us?
Are you asking for what instruction? When are you
Yeah,
registered for
for
April?
how March 4, ma'am.
March.
March 4. So what are we gonna do? What am I gonna do? Yeah, for March 4 exam. Did
You
or are
have
we?
you
I'm ready. Yes.
I don't know where to start. Have you completed the learning review? Have you?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am Alice, he is already completed all the requirements for March exam.
Have you ever attended any review session for IG1? Or not
Yes,
yet?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So what is your question
Done
again?
already. How to start for the March 4 exam?
How to start? Do you know when is the date of the
Are we
exam?
waiting?
Do you know when is the
No.
date?
March 4.
Okay. Do you know where to get the question?
I don't know.
Okay, my suggestion is to review previous. These are the things we discussed in the Zoom session, so maybe you still have time to review previous Zoom review session, maybe, so that you can discuss.
Okay.
And also we will have another one. When is the date? Jovi, for March, there'll be another one. But while waiting, I suggest you review previous Zoom review session for IG1. Okay?
Okay.
For
Okay,
the
but we will
March
have another one.
for the March exam, for those who are scheduled is March 4, 2 weeks before the exam, you will be receiving a first email from NEBOSH that you are registered on the examination. That's the EEC, which is the exam entry confirmation. And then 1 week before the examination, you will be receiving your login details.
Okay. That's what I want to know.
Excuse me,
Okay.
Ma'am Chubby, that one is 2 weeks before the exam. When we receive the email from you or from NEBOSH?
From NEBOSH, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now I understand the question. Okay.
Yeah,
Access
that's what I
where
want.
to get the exam. Okay. Yeah. All right. Anyway, we'll have another review session before March exam. Leo.
Ma'am.
My question, ma'am, is about the IG2 risk assessment paper. So will we the one to upload it in the NEBOSH website
Yeah. The
after 10 days of the
right.
examination in IG1?
Yes, po. So you don't send it free email anymore. You need to upload it just like you upload your IG1 answer. But you will receive the instruction, the deadline for submission. It will be given to you by NEBOSH. How
For
to submit and when to
uploading
submit.
the assessments to NEBOSH platform, it's difficult
Yes.
or
It's not
it's easy to
difficult.
that one? You
It's
have
easy.
any guidelines for the how to upload that one?
Easy. It's not difficult. It's easy.
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
Pasingit ako. Uh, so I need to schedule in April, but I did not take any IG1 review. How to take again for IG1 review?
You
Give the
already,
question to Jovi.
sir, you are retaking po ba? Or new?
Yes. New new taking.
Taking.
You don't have access, sir, for the IG1?
No.
I'll double check, sir.
Okay, please send the details para maano ko, maayos ko, please. Hintayin ko na lang po. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, po.
This template that that you send here in the message, this is the one that we are using and to submit to the NEBOSH. This is final.
Oh. The one you see on the screen, if it looks like this, that's the one.
The one, the final.
Yes, po.
So we can input now our works in here.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So and this is the one after finishing. This is the one that we are sending to NEBOSH.
Yes.
This is what I like.
Okay. Right.
Hello,
Next
ma'am.
question.
Ma'am.
Sadi? Or
Paul,
who's
Paul.
raising it? Paul.
Paul,
Go
ma'am,
ahead,
Paul.
Paul. Paul
Ma'am,
first and then Sadi.
in the training link, I can proceed because it's not entering. I started on the orientation, but I cannot proceed to the next level. Because when I submitting it, it's not connecting.
Okay. Let's ask our coordinator, Jovi or Bon. Okay, we're checking.
Juby.
We are checking.
Ma'am, hindi siya nagpro-proceed pag sinasubmit ko siya.
Ay, sa'yo, Mac exam, sir, the quiz.
Paul,
For the train. Pagka-start lang, just started, Paul?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
which part?
The first one, orientation, I cannot proceed to the next.
So you have to check on the bottom. There's
Yes, ma'am.
mark
Hindi
complete.
siya nag-aano.
You have to mark complete, sir, and then you can proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Ni-review ko na yun kung na-answeran ko lahat. Then, hindi pa rin siya nag-proceed eh.
Apo, sir, sa pinaka dulo, sir, na-check mo yung mark.
Yes, ma'am. May mark doon.
Mark complete.
Actually, inano ko na din sa agent na nag-ano.
Sige, sir, ipapacheck
Same,
namin sa IT namin, sir.
same
Papabalikan.
pa din. Kaya hindi pa ako na-answeran ko yung una. Diba kailangan pag na-complete, ma-answeran yung pangalawa. Hindi siya nag-proceed kaya hindi ako makano.
Okay, sir, papacheck ko sa IT namin, sir.
Nasa sige ma'am.
Okay. Ma'am, can we know the schedule of the list of the names of the schedule of March 4 to take the exam?
Why do you need the list of the name?
No need. No need. So we're just only waiting for the email from.
Yes.
Okay. And for this IGC2, this is final. So our balance is the IG1, yeah, for the March 4 that we are waiting for the email.
I don't understand the balance part.
Balance, the IG1 examination, because the IG2, you already sent us the template, yeah. So IG2 already, you sent already the template, so IG2 is already done, so we must input our answers on it.
Mm-hmm.
So our balance is the IG1, which we are waiting for the March 4 to the email from the NEBOSH. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
You mean the question on March 4?
Yes, ibig sabihin, yung IG2, ito na yung template. Tama, ma'am?
Yes, yan na po yun.
Yan na yan. So, pipilapan na lang namin, gagawa namin yung risk assessment.
Yes
Then,
po.
pagka na-receive namin sa March 4, yung i-download lang, upload na lang namin doon sa NEBOSH. Yung sagot
Yes.
IG2.
You will receive the question. You will receive the template to be completed for the answer on March 4.
On March 4.
You will receive it. You will need to download it from the NEBOSH platform. We cannot send it to you. We don't have it. NEBOSH will not send it to you through email. You need to go to their platform. How to access the platform? They will give you an access. Once you are registered for the exam, the access would be maybe 2 weeks before the exam.
2 weeks before the exam.
Only the access to the platform, but you can only access the exam question and the template to be completed for the answer on the exam date, March 4.
Okay. But we can use the template that you give to us so that we can input our answers.
For which one?
Templates for IG2.
IG2 is yes. IG2 you can start. For IG1, it's March 4. The exam is March 4. Okay?
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
All right. I missed few questions, but Sadi, go ahead first.
Okay, my first question was answered. Then the second is I'm asking about when with the record of this session video, when will be posted?
Jovi?
Sorry,
when the recording will be available, please?
On Monday.
Monday.
Very much.
Okay, Sadi, Monday. Okay, question from Lawrence. Is there any available slot for March 2026 exam?
Ma'am, April 8 is the nearest available schedule.
Okay. Lawrence, it's April. Okay, next. How long this records? So that's Monday. What if we did not meet GIC 2? Will be referred. That refer will be a modification only, resubmit, revise. Don't need to make a new risk assessment if you receive a refer result. You just need to improve the existing one and resubmit it. Okay, next, can we have a copy of the recorded by Monday? It will be available. Question for you, Jovi. Is the payment for this NEBOSH review included in the exam fee? Is there a separate payment? So,
Yeah, for a moment, ma'am, I'm checking the chat
okay.
box.
Okay, so Jovi can answer those directly. Let me go
Yeah.
through the technical part. Okay. IG1. Is the exam in IG1 and IG2 in the same day? Because I plan to take the exam on April. The declaration of the exam date is the same, but if you're going, for example, if your exam is April, you've attended the review today, now you understand what the risk assessment is all about. You can do the risk assessment now. You don't have to wait for April. April will be the submission, but you can start working on your risk assessment already. It's not really on same date for the exam of IG1 and IG2. How many slots are available? Okay, read that. I hope that's clear for the date, Ivan Perez. Can you confirm if I already registered for April 8th? Okay. Questions for Jovi. Anyone else? Question about the risk assessment? Right, I understand
ma'am.
many of you have question about the IG1. That will be another session. Today was really for the changes related to the new form. Go ahead, Bob.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry
Alan.
for interruption. Yes, ma'am. This IG2 form, uh, to whom will collect this one? This IG2 form.
Collect
You will
for?
form the form.
What do you
How
mean by
to
collect? The empty form or the completed form?
uh saying how to get email by email in
How to
your
receive the form? The empty form?
yes.
Already sent to you through email.
In my email. Okay, I will check it,
And
ma'am.
we sent it several times in the chat. I think you were the one who asked for it also. Not yet? It's somewhere
Not
in the
yet
chat.
received.
And we
I
also
will
sent
check,
it to
ma'am.
you through email.
I'm using phone. That's why. Sorry.
Please check
Okay.
your emails. We've sent you all the document that you need for this risk assessment.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank
Okay.
you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, from Lawrence, in case I already passed and have the IG2, I'm planning to retake the IG1 exam. I'm also a former student of Renovate way back 2023, okay? So you just retake the IG1. No need to retake the IG2 if you already passed it, Lawrence.
They have only, ma'am, until August 6 to retake. For the
For
old
IG2.
syllabus. Yes. For the old syllabus, ma'am.
For the old, yeah. Anyone else?
Madam.
Yes, po. Victor.
Madam, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would like to ask if on the same date we will take NEBOSH 1 and 2 simultaneous.
We've asked this question before. Someone asked.
Clarifying,
Okay.
ma'am.
Victor, when are you going to take the exam?
Most probably, ma'am. April 8th.
April. Even if your exam is April, Victor, you can do the risk assessment now because you have the form. We discussed it, so now you understand it, right? So you can start doing your risk assessment. You don't have to wait for April.
Yes, ma'am.
April will be the submission.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Noted, ma'am. Thank you.
So you can start because it's your risk assessment. You're going to select the area to be assessed. You don't have to wait for NEBOSH to give you a scenario. There's no scenario for risk assessment.
Yes, ma'am. Individual.
Individual. So you can start doing it already.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Next. Can I get the advanced schedule for exam? I'm not yet finished the IGC one. Exam schedule can be seen on the NEBOSH website. There's a list.
And also, ma'am, in their joining instruction.
And also in the email that said to you, we sent you the schedule already for email. Can you refer to your email? I just started the IGC one. How may I know if I'm taking the old one or the new one? So the content is almost the same for the IGC one, no changes. But since you will be taking the exam not this February, you'll be automatically doing the new one. Starting in March, all the exam will be risk assessment and everything will be the new specification. Okay, anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Sadi. I think we can end. Jovi, if there are no other questions, there'll be more time to discuss another review session before March exam for February. Good luck. You can do it. We had the session already for February. If you still have
Anong dinner
questions,
natin today?
If we can take a
surprise.
picture for today, ma'am. So
Picture.
if they can open
Yes.
if you can open your cameras, please open. I will take a picture.
If you still have question, and you can always ask question, you can reach me through the e-learning platform. Send me a message. I'll try to answer as soon as I can. What is your dinner today, ma'am?
Okay.
I
Okay,
don't know
Ma'am
yet.
Alice, I will take a picture. So ready, everyone? Okay. Ready, 1, 2, 3. So one more for a moment. Okay, ma'am. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Waki.
Last one. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you, everyone. If you have questions, send an email or message through Facebook. Thank you.
What is your dinner today? Tinolang manok. Yung niluluto sa ano? Sa buko ba yan? Di buko. Anyway, bye!